Oh, you might have a little office romance. I mean, unless you're happily married. But who gives a shit? I'm just saying, Aries, that with the moon in favorable position right now to the south node, and the moon is very much in very emotional Cancer, and it's in your third house. Please do not email me stupid shit like, Cancer is Aries' fourth house. Nah, bitch. Go back to your books. That's not what it is, because the house wheel and the zodiac wheel move at different paces. So you could definitely be in the third house and still be, the planet still be in Cancerian, right? The planet still be in Cancer, but still be in the third house. Go check out your natal chart. You'll see that this happens all the time. Calm down. Thank you. And what that means is simply this. There's some sort of emotional intelligence, like an awakening or an understanding. And I feel like there's sort of this big old yawn, right? Some sort of nostalgic communications, or just a way that you've communicated in the past, something that you haven't done in a long time, is suddenly awakening inside of you, deep inside of you. And it's basically touching upon that south node, which is the way that you used to do things, or your past, something from your past. Does that mean that somebody from your past is coming back? No, but ultimately, Aries, I did say in my weekly astrological forecast that the middle of the week, which it is now, is sort of like a mini Venus retrograde, just in how the energies are impacted with the moon, and the way that it's impacting the moon in Cancer, which is a very nostalgic energy, right? How it's impacting the south node. It's really there to illuminate different aspects of yourself that may have been kept asleep but are still there, and as they wake, they maybe need to be put to bed forever, or just killed, like throw them away because they don't serve you anymore. But how do you do that unless you run through this additional inventory that maybe, just maybe, you didn't even know you had? So let's get into that. And the reason I say something may be popping off at work is because Mars and Uranus are most definitely in your first house. I know they're also in the zodiac sign of Taurus, but they're still falling right there, plop, where it would be your first house. And so ultimately there's something going on with how you identify yourself, what you've committed to, your career, and how you make money. And then it's really putting pressure points on, or that's really the pressure point for the fate or the awakening and the sort of karmic cycle that's happening over in your 10th house, which is definitely your career and how you build yourself in the world. Because that's where the clusterfuck of planets is right now, especially the sun and Jupiter, and Saturn, so all in Aquarius. So ultimately there's some sort of more social aspects and dynamics to you, I feel, that are happening in the workplace that perhaps hadn't happened in a long time, or maybe you haven't been this social or social in this way in your workplace for, sorry about that, for a while. You, in other words, in some ways you fell out of something that was you, something that you not identified, but you felt comfortable with. Like you used to hang out with people all the time after work, and now you don't. Not just because of quarantine, but because something in you made you very self-critical, made you very judgmental, made you say, oh no, I shouldn't be that flirtatious at work, or I shouldn't be dating within the workspace. Now, if this is not happening exactly the way it's playing out, it's because your natal chart wheels turn at different paces anyway. So use it as a metaphor. This is like an energy, something that you used to do readily and naturally that you did not judge yourself for. Somewhere along the lines, you picked up a very self-critical perspective on it, and you stopped yourself from doing it. And it's okay to stop yourself from doing things that no longer serve you. That's just called maturity, right? That's just called growing the fuck up. And so that's okay. But it is not okay to stop doing things because you let, and this is very un-Aries-like, but Aries are humans and they succumb to social pressures, especially from people that they want to love them. You know, there's just this energy of feeling somehow being taught that you should not do these things, or that it was morally or ethically wrong. Some sort of judgment that you picked up on and you allowed to influence who you are and how you go about life. And that's really why it's coming back to you. It's not, and as I'll return back to my metaphor so that you can go back to fucking whoever you want at work. That's not the important thing. The important thing is realizing that somewhere along the line, you stopped doing something that was really pleasurable or enjoyable to you because of shame that was induced or injected into you by somebody else. And for some reason, they caught you at a time when you were vulnerable enough, and it's, when they caught you at a time when you were vulnerable enough to believe that shit. And you've been carrying around this sense of shame and self-degradation that you really should not have ever had to feel. And sometimes this happens to us by people who really do love us. It's not necessarily some malicious villain that came out just to hurt you. In some extreme cases it could have been, but you usually don't tolerate those people at all. This would only be somebody who, like your mother or like your father or like one of your sisters or your best friends. Oh, you shouldn't do that because it could hurt you this way, and this way. And what would people think about you? Because it doesn't fit into their wheelhouse, or it doesn't fit into their lifestyle. They automatically produce shame in you for it fitting into yours. So it's not necessarily that they were trying to hurt you. They could have just been being honest with you about what they felt, but ultimately it don't make it right. Especially it may make it right for them, but it may not be right for you. And the reason why it's all coming back, Mercury's about to go into retrograde, amen, hallelujah. But that's just messages that you need, like Mercury coming back is almost like the secretary, like the new secretary coming in and saying, oh, good day, sir. How are you doing? Yeah. Did you know that you got this message, this message, and this message, and this message? I found them over in some little pile that she never gave to you. And now here they all are. It's like the messages were supposed to get through, but for some reason, it didn't. And now all of a sudden, all these messages are getting through. And the messages, and I know Mercury goes into retrograde on the 30th, but we are definitely pre-shadow period or in the shadow period. And it's just like, whoa, we can definitely start to feel different kinds of messages coming in for our improvement, so that we kind of break through some kind of walls or chains or prisons that we've kept ourselves in, especially when Saturn is in Aquarius. There's a sense of liberation, being liberated, that the new law is the law, and that looking for something to break chains is what is karmically responsible. Karmically responsible to do. It's not about maintaining the status quo anymore. It's not about maintaining even the earthly resources. It's about maintaining the right to be able to move forward. It's about maintaining open doors for opportunities. And so what it's going to start showing you is different things in your life that are keeping you from different opportunities, especially when it comes to the way that you think about yourself, and any kind of, like I said, self-deprecating beliefs that you formed over God knows how long, coming to the surface and being like, why do I believe this again? Wait, where did that even come? It's like remembering your old self, but not in the sense of your old self as in I gotta fall back and I can't keep on making progress, because we are supposed to be headed toward our north node. We're not supposed to be headed toward our south node, Aries. But this is, sometimes the south node can remind you of a part of you that made you happy, is what I'm saying. It's not just about pleasure. It's about rightness in yourself. So ultimately, what we learn right now in this energy is kind of like, it's reminding us who the fuck we are, reminding you who the fuck you are. That's bottom line. Making you even more Aries than you were before. Even more sure even more sure of yourself and who you are. Remembering who you are. Because sometimes we forget who the fuck we are, right? So all of this is being crowned by this. And this card tells me that there's a little portion of something we said goodbye to because it didn't serve us, because we had to move on from it. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it means that we should have, right? But ultimately, yes, we moved on from something because we felt like we'd matured beyond it. But what I really feel is that we've matured. What's going on and what you're realizing is that now you're maturing beyond the need to conform in any way to somebody else's version of what makes you a good person. There's a lot of good things going on for you right now. A lot of joy that's coming. And it's almost like the sun and the house. The sun has come home. The sun is right now really being like pressured by Mars. Or is it? Yeah, I have to remember the charts. It's almost like your sense of self has come home, is what I'm saying. There you go. It's like your sense of self has come back to you. You've gotten this stronger. It's like you're feeling stronger than you felt in a long time. And then we have just a woman who's very flirtatious and very sensual, especially if you are a female Aries. It's almost like your vitality, your spunk, your sensuality, your sexuality is going to come back because it's not tethered anymore. There's nothing or no message to make you feel bad about it, right? So there's just this sense of feeling yourself again. Maybe literally, I don't know, that ain't my business. But bottom line is there's no sense of shame anymore. That firm understanding of who the fuck you are is back and loved and accepted for what it is. Balance spirituality and practicality, and don't let your past hold you back. That is a spiritual awakening to what has been going on in your past that has in some way made life not livable as your full self, right? That sense of finding balance in the past, in something that we let go of, because we don't always let go of things for the right reasons. I'm just going to say it like that. And I know that's coming from a Cancerian, but that's what that Cancer moon can teach us, is that yes, we should always be looking forward or moving forward, but we should have learned from the past. And if something happened in the past that we didn't learn from, we just basically reacted in fear, that doesn't necessarily mean that we learned from it, right? So in other words, there's still a lesson to be learned in what went on in the past. In other words, I said it already, we don't always let go of things that we should have let go of. And I'm not talking about necessarily a lover coming back from your past. For me, this is more about how you feel about you, what you want out of your life, and a piece of you that you might have thrown away that you actually fucking miss. It's okay to miss a piece of you without necessarily becoming who you were when you were 15. But ultimately, and that's that real fine line, right, Aries? Because there's a sense of I don't want to go back to wearing juicy on some fucking Daisy Duke shorts across my ass. I did that shit in college and I'm just not there anymore. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about going back to immaturity. I'm talking about going to that mentality of feeling good and feeling free and feeling curious and feeling like you had a right to be curious, without any shame or doubt associated with it. That's what I'm talking about. Because you really are making vast improvements and riding forward. Oh, I just saw 333. That's blessings from angels. That's yes, you're on point. Thank you. Yeah, you're moving forward. This is about freedom and liberation and liberating yourself from any constraints that have been put on, caused by shame. Shame. That's what this card is. It's all about feeling ashamed of who or what you are. The sense of some learning somewhere along the line, because we can learn bad lessons too, right? So it's we can learn those toxic lessons too. Oh, okay, if I let the boys smack me on my ass and touch me when they haven't even said hi to me, I'll still get attention. So I guess I should just keep doing that, even though I don't ever really feel comfortable with it. It could be coming in from that perspective too. That sense of, but what it is for all of you is identifying a bad lesson that you learned that you can, that blocked you from being your whole happy self, that you can now take and throw the fuck away. This is a card that says, that acknowledges, there are parts of us that we decide because they're not socially acceptable or somebody tells us we should be. There are parts of us we hack ourselves up and we say, I'm not going to share these parts with the world because only these parts will be accepted. And already that creates a divide in our souls and how we feel about ourselves. And that's what's going on. There has been a divide in how you feel about yourself, even though maybe it's been so long ago that you forgot. Now it's coming to light and you're saying, these ugly parts of me that I've put away, they're not ugly at all. I actually really love them about myself. And I don't want them to stay on a shelf or hidden. I want to show the fucking world these aspects of who I am. You fucking go, Aries. You fucking go. Because look, right next to it is discovering self-love, is learning how to love who you are, looking in that reflection, an angel looking in a reflection to remind you to love all that you see there, ripples, wrinkles, mistakes, and all. It's like you are an entirety. Stop breaking yourself into different pieces so that other people can be comfortable. Amen. And look she got her finger up too. Don't compromise. Don't. This is about not compromising anything that you are. Some people will like you for everything that you are. Some people will not. Some people will say to you stupid ass things like, well, if you weren't like this, you'd be perfect for me. Well, then they ain't perfect for you. That's all you need to know. And then questioning your beliefs. There you go. And this is in most cases, this is a good way. Go back and inquire, why do I believe that? Was it a healthy lesson or was it a shitty lesson? Why have I come to that conclusion inside my head? This is a great energy to do that this week, for you to really get down to business and understand those beliefs in your head that you've accepted and that you've allowed to shape your life. Should I even believe them? Do they really work for me? Did they come from a good place that improved my life? Or did they come from a place that just made me feel shame and I've been living with it this whole time? That's the question that you need to be asking yourself. Give it over to God. Let it be. Let it go. Know that this is the time to do that. This is the time when you are safe and it's okay to liberate yourself from all that craziness that you have been carrying around for a while. Blow off some steam. Once again, letting it go. Drop it. It's all saying, let it go. Let these things go. Let these thoughts go. Let these beliefs go. Drop it, and drop whatever it is that you're maybe doing. For some of you, it could extend to the fact that I don't even fucking like this work. I'm done. And drop it. With your level of confidence and your ability to make things happen for yourself, I have no fucking doubt that you will find a way to power through and not have to compromise. If you have to just fucking drop something right now, just fucking drop it. Just let it go. Or you know what? Do what my old boss did before she quit the company so that she didn't have to lose her salary. She literally got her doctor to sign a note that put her on extended medical leave so that she got somehow 6 months where she didn't have to do any bit of work. Nobody could even call her, while simultaneously the company had to pay her full salary and hold her position for her legally. So I'm not trying to say that that was a moral thing to do, but who gives a fuck is what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this is about getting back to what you need to do for you, and you got to use whatever mechanisms you got to use in order to do it, as long as they're really not hurting anybody else. And they really weren't hurting anybody else, because the truth is nobody at the job missed her. Just letting you know. We got a lot more done without her. So she was happy, we were happy, and it was all cool. By the time she found the new position, she didn't have to lose a lick of her. She didn't have to use a lick of her savings or security, and we got to move on, and it was totally fucking cool. And honestly, I know sometimes you think in yourself, oh, but that's not the right thing to do. The right thing to do is what is harmonizing and vibrating harmoniously in the moment. It's not necessarily based on what somebody wrote as a law or a rule of morality prior to this situation. So understand that you have to react right now in where you are and trust yourself. Give it over to God and say, I'm gonna do what feels right this time instead of what somebody told me or what I've been taught to believe is right. That's the spiritual understanding of what's going on. And that's why balanced spirituality with practicality has come out. Is like finding that sense of spirituality in yourself again and vibrating at that level that tells you that something's right so that you can see the way forward in the 3D practical world to really find the way that's right. Because the 3D practical world throws all different kinds of like rules, regulations, and obstacles at us based on what was morally and ethically correct 30 years ago. I mean, you've seen the way the lawmaking process can work. I'm not trying to say Aries go out and break the law. I'm just saying you've seen the way the lawmaking process works. We'll know that something is incorrect and we'll write a law to change it. And the law takes forever to get passed. And then it doesn't become like universal, national, or global for decades, because you have to change people's mindsets first. But do you let that get in your way? That's all I'm trying to say. There could be a lot of big old rebellion happening with Aries. I'm just letting you know. Let's see animal totems. If you guys love this reading, and I hope you do, then please like it and share it to your social media profiles, because that's really what helps the channel grow. Also, subscribe to the channel and ring that bell, because I upload between 12 and 14 videos every single week filled with information that's zodiac specific and some that isn't. So I'd love for you to enjoy it all. And if you ring that bell and set it on to all notifications, you'll be sure to get notified every single time I upload anything. There's always an extended reading, and that extended reading is the drilled down, articulated answers to what are the challenges, who is challenging me, and how do I deal with it, and what's going to be the outcome, as well as a romance reading. So those are always there, an extension of this video. You can subscribe directly to Vimeo too. Yep. And then if you do, you get access to the extended about a day before the link shows up on YouTube. And in addition, I also post the weekly astrological forecast over there, which I was mentioning earlier, and that's totally free. But I post it over there because I post so much over here. I don't really have any more room to post any more videos. So you can get that every single week, and that'll give you the general mentality, different sorts of warnings for the week, if you will, or just different sorts of energies for the week. And then join me on Instagram, dudes, because I do a live reading there like Monday through Friday, basically every weekday. And then we can chit chat and just like shoot the shit, and you get some daily motivation over there. And that's Born_without_boundaries. So I hope you do join me over there too. This is the first card that came out. Yeah, something was too rushed. Something didn't feel correct. Something didn't feel right. Something felt against your nature, and yet somehow it was superimposed on you. This is in the past, so it could have been coming from grandparents, parents, lineage, ancestry. But something was rushed by. So, like, that's what happens when the turtle is basically upside down. And in some ways, in rushing the turtle, you actually cut off any kind of movement from turtle, because he's much more likely to get flipped on his back, where turtles cannot swim or move at all. They're extremely vulnerable because they don't have the mechanisms or the muscles to be able to flip themselves back over. Maybe not so much in the water, because they could kind of maneuver it, but definitely on land. So it's very, very important for you to go at the pace that you're ready for, or you could get flipped, and that's why you've stagnated, because trying to keep up with somebody else's pace or somebody else's vibe has put you in a vulnerable position. And that's what happened maybe years ago, because it's in the past. And then it was buried, because this is the moon card for me. The wolves howl at the moon to speak to it and acknowledge the sadness, the hurt, the things exposed in the moonlight. You can hear in the wolves howl. What the moon illuminates, the things people try to hide in the dark, the moon will shine light on. And the wolves howl is what celebrates it, exorcises it, and basically acknowledges it and brings it sort of into reality so that it can be healed and released. Then we have Sing Your Own Song. Damn! So it's an acknowledgement of healing the past and healing vulnerability from the past, And like I said, any of those negative lessons we learned from being vulnerable in the past, because vulnerable is a very difficult position to be in, especially for Aries energy that likes to remain in control of their lives and feel strong. I mean, you guys are ruled by the warrior, for God's sake. So sometimes we can learn lessons by being vulnerable that teach us self-hatred or self-shame. And that's really not what they're meant to teach us. Being vulnerable teaches us that there are different ways to be strong. And so get on your own side. Even if you were vulnerable, even if you were left behind, even if you were embarrassed or ridiculed, there's still a reason to love that person that you were, and not to have thrown all of them away because somehow being vulnerable was associated with shame. This is a time to sing out and to vocalize those pains, those sorrows, those sadnesses, as well as the love that you may have still for those aspects of yourself. Dream the world into being is here. So Lizard wants to move forward. He's playful and he always looks to regenerate himself. But there is definitely the past. Lizard is the way to the future, though. You can see the skull in the back, right? Kind of like haunting Lizard, but Lizard has a way to regenerate. So there's an acknowledgement here of, because lizards can pop off limbs and grow them back, that kind of thing. He's regenerative. So this is about healing a past, but first you have to acknowledge it's there instead of just letting it kind of like haunt you in the background. And then sometimes life stings. So this is scorpionic energy, something coming back from something that you tried to bury, still hurting you. It's really not so much pain, though, when Wasp shows up as a reminder, a sting. Something keeps frustrating you and irritating you. At the bottom of that irritation, you will find the infection. You will find the truth that if you deal with it, the irritation will go away. Let's go on to angel readings. Yay! All right, Aries. Angel cards, angel readings for Aries, Aries, Aries. Archangel Sandalphon is here to say, this is interesting. I have heard your call for help. Your prayer will soon be answered. Now, you can tell me what that prayer is in the comments, or don't. I actually don't. Keep it in your heart between you and the angel, because honestly, that's the only person that needs to hear, and that's a part of giving it over to God. Transformation. Through the great love that holds you in its embrace, you are moment by moment transforming to ever greater light, ever greater oneness, and ever greater wisdom. That's what it is. It's transforming into a whole self, instead of that hurt, parsed up self. And you're transforming back into all that you are. Blue Angel. Archangel Michael is here. I, Archangel Michael, am here by your side. I am all around you and will forever protect you. Remember this whenever you feel fearful. I love you. All is well. Courage. You have what it takes. Just do it. We, your angels, are here to support you. So they love you for all that you are. Don't ever think that you weren't this whole time. Usually it's just us deciding to hate ourselves. Harmony. Disharmony occurs when we try to resist life's natural flow. Everything has its cycle. Every stage of life has its own unique meaning and purpose. Every day can be harmonious if we want it to be. I'm going to go to tarot. Let's see. Let's follow me on over. Come to the extended. Aries, I will see you over there. The link is below.